So therefore, you can't steal now because you are in the commandment of love, which is who Christ is love.
Yes.
So you're not keeping that commandment because you're trying to show God that you're righteous. You're keeping that commandment because you're connected to Christ's love.
Oh, I love this explanation. We are governed in love now and not the law. And like you said. Welcome to Carting Truth Podcast, a father-daughter duo focusing on sharing revelations through conversations with the Lord. Let's get started with today's episode. Welcome to Carting Truth Podcast. I'm Lindsay here with my dad Shane, and today we are going to talk about a vision that was in Zechariah. And this will also lead us into some of the things that you guys talked about in the comments on the last episode. We are so excited to get started with you.
Lindsay, there is a vision in the book of Zechariah, chapter 5, that is very, very mysterious. And so I would like to go and read that vision and go over it. And once we start talking about what the vision's about, it will lead us into other things, even back to some of the comments that were made. And so it's in chapter 5 of Zechariah. It's a flying scroll. And what this scroll means is very deep. In fact, it was going to be one of the first episodes that we ever did.
I think it was going to be our first episode, and I'm not really sure why we never did it.
We did a test down in your basement, and it didn't work out very well, and we didn't have the right software or the right mics, or none of that stuff was any good at all. It was awful.
Rubies.
So we never did get around to it, and I think the reason that we didn't is because of today's episode.
That's what I was just thinking. I think the Lord put it off because the way it ties so much into, we had such a comment thing going on about certain topics, and you're like, oh my gosh, this vision in Zechariah that we were going to do ties so much back into that.
It will lead us back into it. It's not a direct tie, but it will lead us into a direct tie. So let's go over to Zechariah chapter 5 and read about this flying scroll, and we'll interpret that. And then we'll get into what it means, and it's gonna mess with some people. It messed up. I've told a lot of people about this, and they have. You can see the wheels are rolling. So let's go over to Zechariah chapter 5. Then I turned and lifted up mine eyes, and looked, and behold, a flying roll. And he said unto me, What seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof is 10 cubits. So right off the bat, we've got this flying roll. So it's a scroll-like thing, right?
Rolled up paper.
Right. And he tells us that this thing is 10 cubits by 20 cubits. Now, a cubit is the measurement between the elbow and the tip of the fingers. All right?
Right.
Normally it's 18 inches. I don't know, most men,
right.
It's 18-inch span. And it's a measurement of a man.
Okay.
And that's real important because that's telling us this is about men.
And it's a massive scroll.
Massive scroll. You're talking about, it's not 10 feet wide, it's 10 cubits wide. And it's 20 cubits long. So the 10 is testing. We've got 10 commandments, right?
Okay.
And what do? They test us.
Mm-hmm.
They test us to see if we are righteous of ourselves or not. And we know what the Bible said.
Mm-mm.
Our righteousness is as
filthy rags.
We had talked earlier about that being a menstrual cloth of a woman. Mm-hmm. And that means that there was no conception and that the image couldn't be brought forth because it was a non-conception menstrual rag, right?
Right.
So 10 is time of testing, and 20 is accountability. And that goes back to whenever they came into the promised land the first time, as we've said.
The last time we talked about this.
Yeah. If you're 20 years old and upward, you were accountable. And also, if you go into the book of Numbers, you had to be 20 years old and upward to be part of the army, and there was certain uh, offerings you had to make at that age.
Okay.
So inside of the flesh, while the flesh is alive on the earth, 20 years old is the accountability.
So it's like when God recognizes you as an adult, essentially.
Right.
Right?
While you're still living.
Right. So 18 is what is, on the earth in America.
Right. Well, your spirit may be more mature than your body.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are, and some people's spirits are less mature than their bodies.
Yes.
Like we've seen people with special needs.
Right. Right.
They're younger than their body.
Right. Yeah.
And then, you might die and be accountable in your spirit, and you might be more mature in spirit than you were.
As far as age.
Yeah, because, we've seen lots of kids that were way above their age and understanding.
Right. Right.
So, but to be in the flesh while living, your mental abilities,
Okay.
they're accountable at 20. God's already set that precedence when they came into the promised land. He said it. It's not something that we can debate about.
Right.
God decreed it.
Right.
And he's already made that known to us. All right. So this role is testing and accountability. All right.
Okay.
So let's go see what's written on it to see what we're going to be tested and accountable for.
Okay.
So we're now in verse number 3. Then said he unto me, This is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For every one that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side, according to it. And every one that sweareth shall be cut off as on that side, according to it. And I will bring it forth, saith the Lord. And it shall enter into the house of the thief, and into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name. And it shall remain in the midst of his house, and shall consume it with the timber thereof and the stones thereof.
So what's going on here? I don't know what you're going to pull out of this.
Well, this roll is a curse, and it's traveling over the whole earth. And guess what? It's still traveling today. It's been traveling since the fall of man.
Okay.
And on one side of it, if you've stolen something, you're accountable.
Okay.
Tested.
Okay.
And on the other side, if you're a liar, bear false witness, you're accountable and tested.
All right.
Well, why just those two sins? Why just stealing and bearing a false witness? That's what the revelation is. The revelation is that all sin goes back to those two things.
Oh.
And you say, well, how are you going to prove that? Let's go over and we'll read the 10 commandments, and we'll see the essence of each commandment and the breaking and the motivation of the breaking of those commandments will be either stealing or lying. Of every commandment there is. And that's why this curse goes out. And that's what Satan originally did.
Steal.
He stole and he lied.
Right. Right.
Right?
Okay.
That's
So that's
what he did.
that's like the first two sins ever created, essentially,
Actually, it's the only sins there actually are.
because they all fit into those categories.
They all go back to that root. Either it's a lie or you stole something. All right? And you say, wait a minute. How can that be? Well, let's
Okay.
go over it and we'll just go through the 10 commandments, and we'll see that the root of breaking any of those commandments will come down to lying and stealing. Right?
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So here we go. Number 1.
All right.
You shall have no other gods before me.
Okay. So if you break that commandment, what did you do? You stole the
Stole.
gold. You stole God's honor.
Okay. Okay.
You stole it. You stole his honor, is what I'm saying. You stole the place that he's supposed to inhabit. He's God. Nobody else is. If you don't honor him as God, you just stole that.
Okay.
All right.
I'm getting you. Okay.
All right.
Number 2, you shall not make for yourself an image in the form of anything in heaven or above on the earth or beneath or in the waters below.
So if you do that, right,
Mm-hmm.
there again, you're stealing the image of God because you're making one instead of.
Yeah, well, it's just like Baal and all,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like you
Stole his honor, you stole
stole.
his worship, and you're making an image to replace him. So therefore, you are stealing his place again.
Okay, moving on to the next one. You shall not misuse the name of God, of the Lord your God, for the Lord will not hold anyone guiltless who misuses his name.
There again, you're stealing the honor of his name.
Okay, can we get a little specific about this one? What about, and I always said, I never even want to say this out loud, but when people say, oh my God, I wasn't allowed to say that growing up. My kids are not allowed to say that. There's debates about what that means. Are you taking his name in vain if you say that? Or there are people that are like, no, it's if you say, you know, like a curse word with God's name. And
Well, you got to understand that God is all goodness, all
mm-hmm,
purity,
mm-hmm,
all holiness.
mm-hmm.
He doesn't want you to use his name, whether you're saying his actual name, Yahweh,
Mm-hmm.
or the English word God, which is from the Anglo Saxon word good one,
Right.
as a way to express disgust. He's holy,
Right.
righteous, and perfect, and he doesn't want you to use his person as a way to express disgust. That's what taking something in
Or
vain
like
is.
being like surprised, like, oh my,
Well,
like,
if you're doing that, though, you're using it to express disgust.
well, you're using God as a slang term,
It
kind of.
is, but you're
Yeah.
expressing disgust. You're
Right.
expressing the fact, I can't believe this. I wonder, or can you believe the nerve of this? You're using his name to express some kind of disgust.
Okay.
And he doesn't want you to use his name to express disgust because that's not the nature of who he is.
Okay, then we get to remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. I know there's a lot of questions about this. I know that some people celebrate it on Saturday, on Sunday. What does it mean? Are we not allowed to work? Are we not allowed to do stuff? Like, what is your take on this?
Well, God rested on the Sabbath day. He didn't take physical rest. He don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
But he rested and held it for an example for us because the Sabbath was made for us in order for us to rest, in order for us to cease, in order for us to reflect. Now, there's a lot of debate on, worshiping on the Sabbath and saying, oh, that's how you keep it holy. But they worshiped on Sunday. And that's, very evident by Paul's writing by saying, bring forth your offering as the Lord has laid it before you on the first day of the week. So they worshiped on, and Jesus is the Alpha. He's the
Mm-hmm.
first, and He's the Omega. He's the last. He's the Sabbath, and He's the first. So we're to honor Him first and last, no matter how you do it, right?
Right,
You
right.
can get into debate, but what happened is Jesus fulfilled that commandment. He's fulfilled all these commandments, which we'll get into.
Okay.
And because He did,
Mm-hmm.
it's not something it's going to save us or not save us, or it's going to bring us, uh, you know, show our forth our righteousness to God, so He can bless us. All right,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's not what He's doing. It. He's saying rest. Take the time to rest and reflect upon me creating, because I rested too. Do like I did. In other words,
Right.
what would Jesus do? He rested. So
Okay.
that's what He's trying to say to. So what was happening here? There again, you're stealing his honor if you don't rest on the Sabbath. It goes back to stealing, because what you're doing is you're taking something that doesn't belong to you and doing with it what you will.
Okay. Okay. All right. So moving on to honor your father and mother.
Be stealing honor.
So your day may be long in the land. the Lord your God is giving you.
Right. If you don't honor your father and your mother, you're stealing their honor.
I remember you talked about this all the time growing up. This was your favorite commandment, I think. I'm not really, but parents, if you know, you know. I point this verse out all the time to my kids.
You and your sister gave me a reason to, I wouldn't have talked about it so much if you didn't give me such reasoning to do it. So,
Well, okay, so what about this one? Stealing, lying.
yeah, you're stealing honor. That's if you don't give something that's due, that's stealing. It's like defraudment, all right? That can be lots of different things, all right? If you owe your mortgage, right, and you don't make the payment, you defrauded the mortgage company.
Right.
So if you withhold something that's due, you've defrauded, you've stolen.
Okay.
So it's due them. That honor is due your mother and father, and you're withholding it. So you are stealing from them. You are defrauding them of the honor that they're due.
Great parenting moment here. Not only are you not obeying that commandment, you're also stealing. So, okay, I'll take that one for sure.
And you're going to die early if you do it.
Okay.
No, actually, it says if you don't defraud them, that you will have long life.
And ironically,
there's a promise in it. Yeah.
Ironically, your dad lived a long time. Your aunt lived a long time. All their siblings, they lived in like their late 80s, 90s, hundreds.
Well, what happens is your mother and father are representations of God. The father figure, the mother figure. And so that is a representation of God. So God takes his image and his representation very seriously, as we have seen for the first two commandments, right?
Right.
So that's why this commandment is made the way it is.
It's so funny when I remind my kids, they're little, they're 6, 8, and 9. I'll say, yeah, you honor your father and mother so your days will be long upon the earth. And they'll say, well, Mom, you said we only have like 3.5 years left until that maybe you take it out to Jesus, and at least like 7 at the most, Mom, because they follow this podcast. And I thought that's very clever.
What honor is giving weight. That's all honor is you're giving weight to something. If you give weight to somebody, you're listening to them.
Right. Okay.
Right. You are honoring them. You are giving them the spotlight to talk. You are taking what they say and making it worth its weight.
Right.
So that's what honor is. It's a weighty thing.
Okay. All right. Moving on to, and this is an obvious one. You shall not murder. Hello.
Yep. Stealing somebody's life.
Stealing somebody's life.
Yeah.
The image of God.
Goes back to that stuff. Now, most of these things are stealing.
They really are. What is the enemy? It says the enemies came to steal, kill, and destroy. So stealing, made by the enemy.
Right. Seizing something or withholding something or taking something that doesn't belong to you.
Yeah. He was the creator.
Whether it be credit or the actual physical item or the honor that's supposed to be due.
Or like stealing someone's spouse.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's so many things that could fall into that category.
I'm going to get into that.
Okay, I am. All right. Next, then we have, you shall not commit adultery.
Yes.
Stealing somebody's spouse.
And that is, that's spiritual. Because Jesus said if you looked upon a woman to lust after her, you've committed adultery with her already in your heart. So you stole it in your heart. Even though you didn't physically steal it, you still stole it as far as he's concerned. Why? Because God's a spirit and you're doing spiritual things.
Right. And he can see through you. I mean, it doesn't matter to him if you physically do it versus thinking about it that you would want to do it. Wanting to do it is just as bad as actually doing it.
Coveting is the same as in the spirit is the same as actually doing it physically.
Okay, and then we've got you shall not steal. So, I mean, that's kind of a given. That's what we're talking about here.
That's part of one side of the curse.
Stealing or lying. And then this is obvious right here. So, yeah. All right, next is You shall not give false testimony against your neighbor.
That's a lie.
A lie. There we go.
Remember, the curse was one or the other. You're either bearing a false testimony, or you're stealing, according to each side of the roll. One of the two you're doing. It goes across the whole earth, and it's a curse. Those who do that are cursed, because that's what this is. It's a curse.
Right. Okay, and lastly, you shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife. Already talked about that. Or his male or female servant, his ox or his donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. That one is tough, to not get tempted to be like, oh, I wish I had what they have.
That's the one Paul said got him.
Yeah.
Paul said all the other ones, but when it comes to covet, because that's endless, right?
Well, yeah, especially with social media nowadays.
You are spiritually stealing.
Yeah.
And you may lie to get it.
Yeah, I mean, the comparison game is so hard because you're literally looking at your life versus what somebody else, where they live, the car they drive, what they get to do for a living, how many kids they have, how many vacations they go on. It's really hard not to play the comparison game, but that's coveting. I've had to catch myself on that one. Like I said, especially with social media, you see all the good takes from a family and you don't see any of the bad stuff. So you think, oh, they've got it all together, and you want their life.
Right. And that's what Christ came to do. He fulfilled all that. And, if you sit and think about it, Christ owns everything, so he can't really covet.
That's right. Yeah.
Because he's God.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though in the flesh he could have,
right.
He could have, I want that guy's sandwich over there.
Right,
he could have done it.
But he didn't.
But he didn't. He didn't do it because he is pure and holy.
Mm-hmm.
And when he looked at that, that wasn't something that he thought needed to be grasped. And he didn't let his flesh convince him of that.
Right.
So, but Jesus fulfilled all these commandments.
Because we couldn't.
Right. And some of the comment people say, oh, you're saying not to fulfill the commandments. Well, here's what we're saying.
Okay.
All right.
Lay it out.
Jesus fulfilled the commandments. If he fulfilled them, they're full.
Mm-hmm.
You can't put nothing else in there.
Right.
And you're not going to be able to go and impress God and say, hey, I didn't steal this.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because inside, you might want to covet something else. And Paul said if you break one of them, you broke them all. Well, if you broke them all, or you broke one, right, you're guilty of all of them.
Yes.
It's a done deal.
Yes.
You say, well, I can be forgiven. Yeah, but if you're forgiven, why are you forgiven? Right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't be forgiven by sacrificing the animal.
No.
You can cover it, but
right,
you can't wipe it away. But
right,
Jesus wipes it away because he took the punishment. So he fulfills the commandments. He's already fulfilled them.
Right.
So if I go back and I have a heart set, I am not going to steal to prove myself to God that I'm righteous. Ooh. I just push Christ out of the way.
That's where it's like, ouch. Now I totally am seeing why you're like, okay, we can't go by the 10 Commandments anymore. And at first I was like, well, they're a good suggestion. And you were like, no, that's not the point. The point is
if you try to fulfill them, you are bypassing Jesus' fulfillment of them. What happened is Jesus fulfilled and he bought you. Now you belong to him, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's good.
Right.
And he demands that you walk in him.
Yes.
So therefore you can't steal now because you are in the commandment of love, which is who Christ is love.
Yes.
So you're not keeping that commandment because you're trying to show God that you're righteous. You're keeping that commandment because you're connected to Christ's love.
Oh, I love this explanation. We are governed in love now and not the law. And like you said, a lot of people were very kind of like upset about that last time and commented about that. But this just makes it so much clearer that Paul told us we do things we don't want to do.
Right.
We've sinned and we don't want to. We don't have the capability, but through Jesus, him being the ultimate sacrifice.
Jesus purchased us.
Right.
So now we are his body. Mm-hmm. We belong to him. And we have to do what our head says for us to do, and he's the head.
We want to see you in heaven.
Just confess your sins. Make Jesus the Lord of your life. Abide in him and walk with him, and you will live with him forever.
If you are enjoying the content and would like to support our ministry, you can do so through Venmo or PayPal. Our handle is @CardingTruth or use our QR code. And as always, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. And we hope this brought some clarity to the Ten Commandments. I know that was a big conversation on our last podcast in the comments. And we just sure appreciate those comments. Those are such a blessing. So please keep dropping us a comment below. We read those, we try to respond to those, and they are so important to us. So we are so thankful for those. We want to thank our subscribers. And if you haven't subscribed, we would love if you would like, subscribe, and click the bell for more notifications. If you have anything you would like for us to do a podcast on, we would love for you to drop that down below. We're always open to that. And we just want to lead you all to Jesus and get you ready for the times that we're in. From Carding Truth, I pray that you are blessed.